The Red Stone. My name is Johann Schmidt. You know me by another name. A name I gave myself. A name carved in fear and written in fire. The Red Skull. It sounds like something from a child's nightmare, does it not? A monster to frighten them into obedience. That was the point. Fear is the first and greatest tool of control. But before the mask, there was a face. Before the monster, there was a boy, Johann. A small, weak name for a small, weak boy. I was born in a place where the sun was a rumor and hope was a disease. A dark, wet corner of Germany where the only thing that grew was hunger. My mother died bringing me into that world. My father looked at me, this screaming, fragile thing that had taken his wife, and he saw a curse. He tried to drown me in a basin of cold, dirty water. His own son. I was only an infant, but I remember the cold. I remember the weight of his hands, the fight for air that I did not even understand. He failed. Someone stopped him. He took his own life soon after. So I was born from death, and my first memory was of being rejected by my own creator. I was an orphan, a stray. I grew up on the streets, in the gutters. You who have known warmth and soft beds, you cannot understand. Hunger is not just an empty feeling in your stomach. It is a beast that lives inside you. It chews on your bones. It whispers to you in the night. It tells you that you are nothing, that you will die, and the world will not even notice you are gone. I learned to steal. I learned to lie. I learned to fight. Not for glory, not for honor, for a crust of bread, for a place to sleep out of the rain. The other children, they formed packs. They found strength in numbers. I never did. I saw that a pack is only as strong as its weakest member. It is a chain, and every link is a vulnerability. I chose to be alone, a knife, hidden and sharp. I saw the world for what it is. Not a kind mother, not a just father. It is a machine of flesh and bone. The strong feed on the weak. That is the only rule. The priests and the politicians, they fill your heads with stories of morality, of good and evil. Lies, beautiful lies, to keep the sheep in their pens calm and ready for the slaughter. There is only power, and the will to use it. I watched the old Germany die. The proud empire brought to its knees by weakness, by compassion, by politicians who thought a treaty was stronger than a tank. They starved us. They shamed us. And the people, they wept and they prayed, and they did nothing. I did not weep. I did not pray. I watched, and I learned. I saw the hunger in their eyes turn to anger, and I saw a man who knew how to use that anger. The Führer. I was a bellboy in a fine hotel, polishing shoes, carrying bags for fat men who never saw the wolf starving behind my eyes. He came to the hotel, the man with the funny mustache and the loud voice. The other staff, they saw a politician, a madman. I saw a key. He spoke of destiny, of a 1,000-year Reich, of a master race. I did not care for his theories of blood and soil. They were simple ideas for simple minds. But I saw the power in his eyes. He looked at the world and saw a mess that needed to be cleaned. A garden that needed to be weeded. In that we were the same. One night, he found me. I was just a boy sweeping a floor. But he looked at me, truly looked, and he did not see a servant. He saw himself. He saw the same hunger, the same rage at the world's weakness. He told me, "I can see the skull beneath your skin." He said he could give me everything, a purpose, a future. He was a painter of cheap landscapes. I was a boy from the gutter. But together, we would repaint the world. He gave me a uniform. He gave me a rank. He put me in charge of his Special Weapons Division, Hydra, a beautiful name, a creature with many heads. cut one off, and two more shall take its place. It was my idea, not his. The Reich was a temporary thing, a blunt instrument. But Hydra was an idea, an eternal promise, the promise of order. The world is chaos. Humanity is a child playing with fire, crying for a firm hand to guide it, to protect it from itself. They cry for freedom, but they do not want freedom. They want to be told what to do, what to think, what to believe. They crave a cage made of gold. I would build it for them. A world without war, without dissent, without choice. A perfect world. A world ruled by strength. My strength. I searched for power. Not the fleeting power of armies and politics. True power. The power of the gods. I scoured old books, chased down myths and legends, and I found it. The Tesseract. The jewel of Odin's treasure room. A source of infinite energy. A doorway to anywhere. I held it in my hand. It was like holding a star. It whispered to me. It showed me things. Galaxies. Other worlds. It confirmed what I had always known in my bones. We are not alone. And we are not the strongest. The universe is a dark and terrifying place. Humanity needed a shield. It needed a sword. It needed a god. And I would be that god. But there was a problem. I was still just a man. A man in a uniform. A man who could be killed by a simple bullet. Johann Schmidt. I needed to become more. Dr. Erskine. A brilliant, foolish little man. He created a serum. A formula that could unlock the potential hidden in human genetics. Create the perfect soldier. A super soldier. He wanted to give it to a good man. He believed that power should be tempered with compassion. What a fool. Power is not meant to be tempered, it is meant to be unleashed. He refused to give it to me. He said I was not worthy. He saw the darkness in me. He did not understand. The darkness was my strength. It was the fire forged in the cold of the gutter. He ran away, like the coward he was. But he left his research behind. I took it. I perfected it. I made it my own. I was the first. I took the serum myself. The pain was unimaginable. It felt like every cell in my body was being torn apart and set on fire. It was a baptism of agony. And when it was over, I was reborn. Stronger, faster, more. But there was a side effect. The serum amplified everything inside. For the good man, it would amplify his goodness. For me, it amplified my ambition, my vision, my will. It burned away the last of the weak flesh. The face of Johann Schmidt peeled away like old paper, and underneath was my true face, the skull. I was no longer a man. I was an idea, a symbol of the future. The world would look upon me and they would know fear, and through fear, they would know order. Then he appeared. The boy from Brooklyn, Steve Rogers. Erskine found his good man, a weakling, a fragile artist with a big heart. They gave him the serum. They made him strong. They dressed him in a ridiculous costume, a flag, and called him Captain America. He was my opposite in every way. He was given everything I had to fight for. And what did he do with it? He fought for the weak. He preached about freedom, about hope. He was a walking, talking version of every lie I had despised my entire life. He was what the world thought it wanted. A hero. I was what it truly needed. A ruler. I hated him. I hated him with a purity I had never felt before. Not because he was my enemy, but because he was my equal in power, and he wasted it on sentiment. He was a god who chose to remain an insect. It was an insult to the very nature of power. We fought. Our war was not for countries. It was for the soul of humanity itself. His way or mine. The chaos of freedom or the peace of absolute control. I had the power of the gods in my hands. The Tesseract fueled my weapons. My armies were unstoppable. I would have burned his pathetic little world to the ground and built my new one on its ashes. It was glorious. For a moment, I held the world in my hand. Our final battle was on my flying wing, the Valkyrie. High above the ice, he was persistent. I will give him that. He would not stay down like a dog fighting a lion. It was pathetic, but admirable. In the end, he did not defeat me. I defeated myself. I held the Tesseract, the raw, unfiltered power. I believed I could control it. I believed it was mine to command. But the power of a star does not wish to be commanded. It has its own will. I reached for godhood, and the universe answered. It did not kill me. Death would have been a mercy. Instead, it took me. The light was blinding. The feeling was, it was like being unmade. Every atom of my being stretched across time and space. I was torn from my world, from my war, from my destiny, and I was brought here, to this place. Vormir, a silent, dead world at the center of celestial existence. A place of judgment, a place of sacrifice. My curse was not death. My curse was knowledge. The Tesseract sent me here to become a guardian, a gatekeeper, for the one thing I sought above all else, yet could never, ever possess, the Soul Stone. The irony is almost beautiful, is it not? The man who wanted to control the universe is now a prisoner of its most fundamental law. I, who shed my own humanity to become a god, am now forced to guide others on a path that requires the deepest and most painful of human emotions. I am a ghost, a stone specter. I am no longer Johann Schmidt. The Red Skull is just a memory, a faint echo of rage. I am simply the guide. I have stood on this precipice for I do not know how long. Time has no meaning here. I have watched the twin suns rise and fall 1,000,000 times. I have seen civilizations rise and crumble in the dust of distant galaxies. And I have seen them come. The Seekers, those who, like me, crave power. They arrive, full of ambition and fire. They look at me, and they see a warning or a challenge. They do not understand. The stone does not ask for strength. It does not reward ambition. It demands a soul for a soul. It asks for love. Love, the most powerful and destructive force in the universe. The ultimate weakness. The one variable I never accounted for in my perfect, orderly world. The thing I have never known. My father tried to drown me. I never knew my mother. The world taught me only to hate. I saw love as a chemical flaw in the human design. A vulnerability to be exploited. A chain to hold people down. And here, in this dead place, I am the priest of a religion I cannot believe in. I explain the rules. I watch as beings tear their own hearts apart to gain this ultimate prize. I watch them sacrifice what they hold most dear. A daughter, a lover. I saw the Titan, Thanos. He arrived with the same fire in his eyes that I once had. He wanted to reorder the universe according to his own will. He thought he was a savior. We were so alike. And he made the sacrifice. He threw the one thing he loved from this cliff, and he left with the stone. He succeeded where I failed, because he was capable of love, even a twisted, monstrous love. That was his strength, and its absence was my failure. Do I feel regret? It is a useless emotion. Regret is the whining of a child who has lost a game. And yet, in the endless silence of this place, the thoughts come. I regret not understanding. I saw the world as a machine, and people as cogs. I never saw the hearts that beat inside them. I saw their weakness. But I never saw that their weakness was also the source of their most baffling strength. Their ability to connect, to sacrifice for one another, to hope, even when there is no reason for hope. I chose to be a skull because I wanted to be free of the weakness of the flesh, But I see now, I only trapped myself. Johann Schmidt was the boy in the gutter, cold and hungry. The Red Skull was the king on a throne of his own making. And now, I am just the Stone Keeper. A story whispered to those who seek power. A lesson. I wanted to build a world where no child would ever have to suffer as I did. A world without hunger, without fear, without pain. A perfect, orderly world. But the price for that world was their freedom, their humanity, and it was a price I was willing to make them pay. I would have been their savior, and they would have hated me for it, but they would have been safe. Was I wrong? Look at your world. Look at the chaos, the wars, the hatred, the endless stupid cycle of violence and suffering. You cling to your freedom, and what do you do with it? You hurt each other. You destroy your own home. You are children. Lost. Screaming children in the dark. I would have been your father. A firm hand. A clear voice. An iron will. I would have saved you from yourselves. That is the story I tell myself as the silent stars turn above me. That is the justification. But in the darkest part of the night, when the universe is quiet, another voice whispers, the voice of the boy, Johann. And he asks a different question. He asks if maybe, just maybe, all I ever really wanted was for someone to be kind, for someone to have saved me from the gutter, not with a uniform and a promise of power, but with a warm blanket, a kind word. Perhaps if one person had shown me love, I would not have needed to conquer the world to feel strong. But no one ever did. And so I became the Skull. I made myself into a monster, because the world had shown me that monsters are the ones who survive. Now, I am neither. I am a shadow, a memory, cursed to stand here and watch others grapple with the one thing I could never understand. I am Johann Schmidt, and I am alone, forever.